It feels like Brockhampton, especially Kevin Abstract, has been talking about the group's final album for a while now, and the day is finally here. The final album, The Family, has dropped. But today's not the 18th. There's something going on. So, what had happened was The Family, which was supposed to be the group's final album, was slated to drop on the 18th, which is tomorrow. But instead, we got it today, which is, again, the 17th, so a day early. But with this early release, we also got the announcement of an actual final album titled TM, which drops tomorrow. Now, before I listened to this album, and I only listened to it one time so far, it's 9:30 in the morning, so, not too many listens were allowed yet. But I've listened to this album one time, and before I listened to it, I saw some of the things that were posted regarding the project, and it actually helped me understand where this album was going to go. To be fair, though, I did expect it to be more of a Kevin Abstract focused album just based off of the singles alone, because, you can have Kevin do his own solo songs here and there, but having two singles back to back being him, it's a little safe to assume that, oh yes, we're just going to hear Kevin here. But like I said, the stuff that I read prior to the project, mostly being the note that Kevin Abstract posted, really helped shape what this album, or at least my thoughts going into this album. And I'll pull up the note that Kevin posted, and you can pause it if you want to. But the gist of it is that he's talking about he's talking about his career, I guess. So he started in 2009, all that, and how the group formed, where he was in Texas. And by the end of the note, he's essentially saying, this album is closure, or meant to be closure, for Brockhampton fans, people who've been there since day one. People, right before saturation, all the hype leading up to that. But this is meant for them. It's meant to be a way to understand what happened and why the group went the way that it did kind of throughout the years. Because, me, I'm a huge fan of the saturation era. I mean, the box set is still over there. But that I feel like just can't be touched. And that's something that he touches on in the project too, where it's that was a moment. And then, as you are probably aware, some of the group drama, to keep it very vague, happened shortly after that. And then that kind of affected Iridescence. And then the group went into Ginger, which I wasn't as big of a fan of. And then Roadrunner, which almost felt like a return to form of sorts. And, it felt like the group was happy again. They were back in a good creative space. And then now we have The Family and the next album, which is the official final album, TM, which drops tomorrow. This project being The Family, it's very much a personal project, and it really does feel like not necessarily just closure for us, the fans, but also closure for Kevin himself, because he seems like he's coming to terms with all the things that have happened through Brockhampton's life. I mean, from 2017 till now, they've shot up and kind of leveled off. I feel like they've kind of gone down, at least in terms of general popularity. During saturation, I know there were multiple people in my friend groups who listened to Brockhampton. People who don't necessarily listen to just rap. And it's because they brought something completely different to the table, I feel. They brought something fun. They mixed a bunch of different sounds, and they experimented, essentially. So, there was a lot going on with their group. Then when the whole thing with Amir happened, everyone was a little concerned, myself included. And then we got, all the other projects. But it's almost like they weren't able to really come back from that event. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're still around. They're still making solid music, but it felt like the heart wasn't there. And that's kind of part of what Kevin talks about here. Again, I only listened to it one time, so I'm not going to go super in depth about anything. But from the one listen, it seems like Kevin is equating his relationship with the group to a toxic relationship. Like, he was the one who kept pushing for things. He was the one who kept essentially wanting to keep the group together, and keep them going, even though, everyone started veering off into their own different career paths. And it got to a point where it was problematic, and he didn't really care as much for the group. At least I think that's kind of what he alluded to on the final track, where it's like he he said something along the lines of, I don't care, or like, he didn't care that he had to cut someone's verse. He didn't care that these leaks happened. He didn't care that he was talking to the fans and promising them all these things. And he didn't care about how other people in the group felt about it. So it's a very interesting way to kind of talk about it. And he's being very honest, it feels. But we can only go off of what the rest of the group says, which kind of leads into what Bareface had posted. It was similar, sort of just large text comment or post on IG. I'll also link that, or put it up on screen. But I kind of skimmed through it, to be honest, and what I got from it is that not just him, the group kind of, they're still friends. It seems like they still seem to be cool with everyone. But it seems like they really pushed Kevin to put everything out there. They wanted him to be as vulnerable as possible. They wanted him to do all these things. So it's almost like they turned the tables on him and did everything that he was doing to them to him. But I think it's good for that. I will have to listen to this album a couple more times, and when I do a video on TM, which will probably be tomorrow night, I'll touch on my other thoughts regarding this project. But off of first listen, pretty enjoyable. I don't know how many times people are really going to return to most of this project, because unlike Saturation and other Brockhampton songs, or albums at least, it's, for me, not an album that I'm going to want to listen to all the way through each time, because it's very personal and it's very, I guess, restricted to its time. Like, this is a couple listen album, you know what I mean? It's a very important album, I feel, in terms of Brockhampton and their history and their dynasty, I guess you could say. But I don't think it's an album that I'm going to be returning to too much, just based off of subject matter and all that, that. And most of these songs, I think the longest song on here is the final track, which is 4 minutes. Everything else is about just under 3 minutes. The next longest one being 2 minutes 40 something seconds. It's not an album that you go back to, I feel, for many individual songs. The singles are going to be fine, but there's too much else associated with it for me to be like, yes, let me throw on this album. Kind of my same thoughts about Iridescence. I only go back to Iridescence for Tanya, because that was a very emotional and powerful song. But if I were to listen to the whole album, I'm just going to skip right to that. But anyways, that's enough rambling on this. Let me know what you guys think on this project. I'm sure you guys will be listening to it throughout the day and tell me what I missed and where I'm wrong and shouldn't be talking about stuff like this, as you do. But let me know what y'all think. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Like I said, I'm going to put out a video for TM probably tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.